All right, I think we've given everyone enough time. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Let's jump straight into things. So welcome to our session today where we're joined by Netspring and we're going to be focused on how you can really unlock the value of first-party data with Snowplow and Netspring together. First off, we'll start with some introductions. And so my name is Trent Carly-Smith. I am a senior sales engineer here at Snowplow. And I have the very big pleasure of introducing you to Abhishek Rai from Netspring. Abhishek, would you like to give a quick little intro?
Thanks, Trent. Hey, everyone. This is Abhishek Rai. I am co-founder and head of product at Netspring, a modern warehouse native product analytics company.
Thanks so much. It's great to have you as our guest today. And so for this session today, we're very lucky to be joined by Abhishek. And so we're going to cover, first of all, a quick intro into Snowplow, just so you understand how Snowplow in particular provides really good value for first-party data. And then we're really going to give Abhishek the floor and allow the majority of the session to focus on the value that Netspring can provide once it's activated out of this data. And that's going to lead us nicely into a full demo where we're going to be looking at what Netspring can provide with Snowplow data in a Snowflake data warehouse specifically. And so let's jump straight into things. I'm sure you're all here because you are seeing the changes that are happening in the world. And the fact is that companies are all investing quite heavily in data-based applications. We've got two companies here that we work very closely with who are really driving a big difference in their experience based on behavioral data. And so behavioral data is inherently quite complicated. With the typical data that you get into a database data warehouse, it's all very transactional. So you might see that someone shares the same attributes around male, born in 1948, raised in the UK, but that can refer to very different personalities. And in the same way, someone may check out with boots and return them. It masks the entire set of different touch points that would otherwise be invisible to you. And so that's why we've really built Snowplow to really help data teams capture better data so that they can spend a lot less time dealing with the exhaust and the challenges with the data captured from tools that are on the market, just like your transactional data or data that comes in from Google Analytics, and really reverse this around so that they can be spending much less time on capturing, creating, and working on this behavioral type data, and spending a lot more time really generating value, generating reports. And today we're going to focus on the advanced analytics side of things, where Netspring can show you a whole bunch of different kind of graphs and really cool capabilities on top of this data set. So in order for Snowplow to power Netspring and the data warehouse with the best data, the process that we take this data through is to first create it. We generate it from end applications, typically a website or a mobile device, but there's so many more places where behavior can be captured from. At Snowplow, we unify it into a single format, validate, enrich the data, and apply privacy on it, privacy controls on top of it, so that the data in your warehouse can be very rich. And then we also provide data models all ready for Netspring. And so I put a slide here to really focus on, well, what are the specific value points that Snowplow will provide when you're focusing on that first party side of things. And so down here, we're very reliable with our tracking. We're resistant to like ad blockers, which can typically cause a lot of problems if you're using tools like a CDP or Google Analytics. We do upfront validation of that data, guaranteeing you a great set of accuracy before it comes through to Netspring and our data warehouse. First-party tracking gives you this unique cookie, which is very consistent for tracking users as they come and go from your website. And so consistent user IDs are something that's really important when it comes to user stitching. But then a user can have lots of different IDs across different applications. We define our schemas to allow you to be very flexible with the data that you collect and also ensure that the data schema, it affects what the data looks like when it's in the warehouse. It makes it a lot easier to work with that data when you're dealing with tools using SQL. Snowplow is deployed in your cloud. So we drive a privacy first and a GDPR compliant setup right from the start. And then finally, with Snowplow data, you can combine it all together in the warehouse with your transactional data and behavioral data together, which means your ability to then combine that in Netspring can produce a lot richer dashboards rather than you just see in a typical tool. And so before I hand over to Abhishek to give a bit of a demo, I just wanted to leave you with an idea of like how Snowplow fits in to the modern data stack. And so once again, we deploy into our customers' clouds. We're creating the data on these endpoint devices, and we manage the Snowplow engine for our customers so that they can not worry about scalability and any other challenges that come with keeping a pipeline reliably pushing data through. We take a data warehouse first approach. We do offer data on a real-time stream. Today, we're going to be focusing on that data in the warehouse, where you can be then merging it with other data that you've ETL'd in and running these kind of SQL data models, advanced ML or Python-based type AI models. And then we're going to show you next Netspring really building on that data. In terms of those data models, the data that Abhishek's going to be using today is based on Snowplow's data models. And so I've just got a little slide here, which I use in my engagement, showing you the various different accelerators and data models that we provide out of the box. And so today we're going to be focusing on our standard web model, which gives you things like a user journey. We're going to be looking a little bit at marketing activation and the kind of marketing attribution type data that comes through. And we might even touch on some of the e-commerce data. So with that, I think that's plenty of me talking about Snowplow. You're here to see Netspring. So I'm going to hand over to Abhishek now, and you can take the floor.
Thanks so much, Trent. Really excited about talking to all of you today. As Trent talked about, there is immense potential of warehouse native analytics. And this slide gives you an overview of the top 3 benefits that you can expect to reap from a warehouse native product analytics architecture. So the first one is cost and scale. Finally, with warehouse native analytics, you have a solution where analytics costs is not tied to even data volumes. You pay for what you use, what you access from the warehouse, and only that. Secondly, context-rich product analytics. So think about all the times that you've had to do product analytics just based on event data or very minor enrichment that you've done on that. Now with Netspring, because Netspring is tapping directly into the warehouse, you can enrich your event data with state-oriented data from CRM sources, marketing, transactional sources, all of them. And we'll show you some examples in the demo today. And this is really one of the key benefits that you get. You can get very rich contextual information alongside your analytics. And finally, because your data never leaves the warehouse, Netspring will never duplicate data from the warehouse. Everything remains in the warehouse. There's no caching or any other environment outside. You get the best of security and privacy with this architecture. With that, I will go ahead and give you a demo of Netspring. So for this demo, I'm acting as a product and growth team person for a B2B SaaS company, which builds a productivity tool. So this is an app like Notion, Atlassian, Zoom, any of those experiences. And for this demo environment, there are a few different data sources. The primary product interaction data is coming via Snowplow, landing live in Snowflake. In addition to that, there is data coming from Salesforce, there's CRM data, there's marketing touchpoints data coming from Marketo. And there's also some transactional data coming from the underlying data store being used by the B2B SaaS application. And this kind of gives you a preview of what these data sources are, marketing, CRM and stuff. we'll get plenty of time to look at this. Let's get started with the quintessential product analytics report, a retention analysis. So we'll go ahead and click on the retention template here. So this is a retention template. On the left, we are seeing template inputs, and on the right, we are seeing the retention curve. Now let's make this more interesting, because we finally have access to all the data from the warehouse. So what we'll do is take this retention report and segment it by activated users. So users who've shown significant traction on the app, so they can be considered activated, and see how's their retention trend like compared to the baseline. So I'll go ahead, and within this segmentation section, I'm going to add a couple of collections as segments. For the baseline, we'll use all users. And for the activated users, I'm just going to define one on the fly here. So let's say we consider a user as activated if they've gone through a certain sequence of events in this productivity tool. So the first action that we want them to take is, let's say, creating a task. Followed by updating the task. And finally, ending in completion of the task. So if a user has gone through the sequence of actions or activities, then we consider them activated. Now, there may be users who've not necessarily done these same actions of the task feature of our product, but they've shown, let's say, good engagement with more advanced features. So let's try to capture that cohort of users as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click on add single behavior. And I'm going to use as a proxy of activation some sharing event. So users who are sharing different things in this tool, they are presumably activated, they know what they're doing. And let's filter this to only include users who've done at least 2 shares. So just to make sure this is clean, and we're going to switch this condition to an OR condition. And I'm going to call this behavioral cohort as activated users. Let's apply this to our retention analysis and see if our activated users are indeed doing better than the baseline user population. And that seems to be the case here. So this is, just a quick preview of what the power of warehouse native analytics is, that you can really build a variety of different cohorts on the fly using all the data that you have access to in the warehouse. Now let's take this a notch higher by switching to a different but very common product analytics template, which is funnel analysis. In the interest of time, I will actually just use an existing template instead of building one live. So this funnel here, you'll see the familiar template input section on the left here, and on the right, you'll see the 5-stage funnel. Users going from marketing touch points all the way to product interactions, creating tasks, updating tasks, and all the way to completing a task. Now, the thing to note here is that this first interaction that we are tracking here for our users, this first stage of the funnel, is actually users interacting with LinkedIn ads. And this data is coming from our MarTech stack, again, landing in Snowflake. And in this kind of warehouse native experience, however, we're able to easily string together marketing data from product interaction data and so on to just build this rich funnel. So from the end user's point of view, it isn't a concern where these different data sources are coming from, as long as they're in the warehouse. With the power of Snowplow and Netspring, you can easily access them in a self-service fashion like we're doing now. I will now show you something actually, very interesting. Like, this is of course a useful funnel that shows power of warehouse native analytics. But let's actually play with it and understand who these users are, who are converting, who are dropping off. And just to keep things simple, I'm going to remove the marketing stage here and instead add segmentation again. And for the baseline, I'm going to use all users. And for comparison, I'm going to use the activated users cohort that we just defined a few minutes back. And let's see what this segmented 4-stage funnel looks like. So we are seeing the conversion for the activated users. Even though the bars are smaller, the conversion percentages are higher. So that's actually great. So our activated users are doing better. But now let's say, we are seeing a fairly significant drop off between the second and third stages in this funnel, between updating a task and starting it. Looks like most tasks are not getting started. So one of our core product philosophies in Netspring is that the first chart is never your final answer. Really, good analytics experience is one that encourages users to ask follow-on questions, and you'll see that in Netspring as a first-class product analytics tool. It maintains context about what the user is doing and shows and allows you to take actions based on that context. So for example, here it knows that these are journeys. So it's suggesting that you might want to see paths for dropped off users. And that's what we'll go ahead with. And there are, several different options here that it suggested based on this journey data that it's seeing coming through in this chart. So this then opens a path analysis right underneath in a notebook style, where you are seeing now a more ad hoc view of what all of these users who dropped off between these two stages of interest did. Now imagine, there might be a path here that I'm interested in. Let's say users who are directly going from updating a task to sharing a whiteboard and then following that up with sharing a doc. Now this path, again, this might be the needle in the haystack I'm looking for. And I might want to just focus on this particular path here. And if this is of interest to me, I can now from here, again, segue into a funnel which just shows me this particular path. So if you kind of think about what we've been doing so far, right? We started from a prescriptive funnel where we defined some stages, we got a funnel view, and then we zoomed out a little to understand what some users are doing who are dropping off. And from there, we identified another interesting path. And then we are again zooming in to see what these users are doing. And again, this kind of question answer pattern of analysis can continue. Excuse me. So just going back a little, another common pattern that we see our users doing a lot, and which really shows again power of working directly on the warehouse, is what we refer to as visual exploration. So imagine for a moment that you are interested in seeing for the users who actually converted from this update task to start task, and seeing what are they doing, what is different about them. How can I take their behavior, going back to the point Trent was making earlier, and nudge more users to be doing that. And so, here we've now taken that cohort of users just with one click and open that in a more BI style slice and dice view, where I have access to my entire catalog, and I can drag and drop different properties here. For example, user role might, I guess might give me some interesting insights about who these users are who are actually converting, and what is the account tier that they belong to. And then I get some interesting insights for different tiers, who is contributing how much to this kind of conversion. One thing I will note at this point is every single screen that you've seen in Netspring today, whether it was the behavioral cohort that we created or the retention chart or the funnel, everything comes with this quick access to the SQL. So our unique differentiation is in working with the warehouse, generating the most performant queries and at scale for different kinds of schemas. But at all points, you have access to the full SQL, including the full detailed warehouse SQL, should you need to take it and activate it through other parts of your data stack, like your marketing automation or your BI tools, etc. Yeah, so the last thing I will show is if this is of interest to me, I can just add this to a dashboard. And again, in the interest of time, I'll just quickly show you our dashboarding layer. So this is a different tab, just a dashboard that I created on this data. Netspring supports like rich filtering and a whole range of different chart types with really powerful control on configurability of these tasks. So with that, that concludes the product analytics part of this demo. I'll just quickly take you back to the data sets here and just give you an idea. So for example, this product interactions data, which was driving most of the demo today, it is coming from Snowplow, landing in Snowflake, and just being accessed live. Netspring provides modeling layer that you can access within Netspring for really setting up your relationships and stuff. But really, it's fairly lightweight, and there is a lot of leverage packed into that, especially when you're working with data from Snowplow and your other business data sources. Great. Yeah, this is what I wanted to cover in the demo. Hope this was helpful. Yeah, I'll pass the control back to Trent now.
That was super helpful. Thank you so much. We've had a couple of questions that have come in while you've been presenting, so definitely want to cover them off in the couple of minutes we have left, if that's okay. The first one, just bringing it up now, is what kind of modeling is necessary before you can start really building these kind of self-service analytics as you were just clicking through everything?
Yeah, so there is really not that much modeling work that typically is required. What you need to do is obviously map your warehouse tables or views into Netspring, which is really a point and click interface like I just showed. Beyond that, the main modeling input that's required is defining a couple of relationships between your main event data sources and your main actors like users or accounts. And that's pretty much all that's needed. A lot of the other stuff is just inferred by the system on the go.
That's fantastic. And I just add to that and say, yeah, Snowplow has its set of out-of-the-box data models, which can provide a lot of the base data to help pass it straight in. Second question is, it was really interesting seeing how quickly a lot of these were coming up. This person has asked, are cohorts all being computed on the fly, or are you actually caching data in the background?
That's a great question, Trent. So Netspring does not move any data outside of the warehouse, and we don't cache anything. All the cohorts are being computed on the fly. So one of our core strengths is our ability to generate optimal queries, SQL queries for different kinds of cohorts, different kinds of behaviors across all the major cloud data warehouses that we support. And that's an area where we've really innovated and have built significant IP in providing this kind of experience on the warehouse. And that's a great point also for another reason. Cohort calculation in general, done naively, can be fairly expensive. And with Netspring, we are able to provide a good interactive experience for that. And not just that, like I showed earlier, you can take the SQL for that cohort and then just take it right back to your warehouse and activate it or use it in other tools or other contexts.
Really interesting. Thanks for that. And I think it's so important, especially in the world of like GDPR. It's really showing that you've built in some good design decisions there to ensure that privacy is taken seriously. You showed us a couple of really cool templates. The question is, like, how many templates does Netspring support in terms of script dashboarding?
Yeah, that's a great question again, Trent. So Netspring supports several dozen templates. So there are several top-level product analytics templates, and then they are powered by a whole range of different analytical pattern templates, like the behavioral cohort that we built and so on. And we're constantly adding new templates. Our vision is that really bring the data team and the product team together. So the data teams, they love the warehouse native aspect of what we're doing, the ability to control the data model, no data movement and duplication, etc. And for the product team, really through these templates, provide self-service experience so that we are able to really keep both of these important personas in our customer accounts happy.
Great. That's great to know. Okay, we do just have time for one more. So I'm going to pick this one because it's one that I really want to know as well. Can I embed Netspring in my web application?
Yeah, so actually, that is something that we are actively working on, but we don't have support for embedding today in our product. Yeah, but we've seen the power of of embedding before. Like I personally, I was previously co-founder at ThoughtSpot, and embedding was a very important play at ThoughtSpot. So that's something that we want to bring to Netspring's UI as well. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Let me know when it's there.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much again, Abhishek. And thank you everyone for joining the session today. I've really learned a lot, and it was great to see the whole product in action. So let's do another one of these sometime.
Absolutely. Anytime, Trent. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks.